everybody, it's Linnea. I have a project for you using the new Gina Designs and ThermOWeb Gnome for the Holidays Stamp and Stencil Craft Kit. This kit is a little bit different from previous stamp and stencil releases because this is going to come as a bundle. You really need to have the stamps, the dies, and the stencils all together to create wonderful products with this Gnome for the Holidays set. I'm going to show you how. So I cut a couple pieces of the trees with the dies from different colors of cardstock, and now I'm going to show you how you use the stencil. You can use the stencil with ink blending, with Glitz Glitter Gel, with Duo Gel, and flocks and foils. So many different ways to use this stencil. I decided for this card to do a tone-on-tone, because I've been loving tone-on-tone, with Glitz Glitter Gel. So all I've done is sprayed the back of this Gnome for the Holidays stencil with Pixie Spray, a very light application. You don't need a lot. And then I'm going to take some colors of Glitz Glitter Gel that I think coordinate well with my colors of cardstock. So right now I'm using Lovely Lavender. I'm also going to be using some Grass Green, Bubblegum, and Turquoise Sea Glitz Glitter Gel. And all I'm doing is just putting on some of the glitz with a palette knife. I'm using a palette knife right now. I usually prefer a stencil pal, but because I'm doing such a small area, I decided to just stick with my palette knife for this, but absolutely stencil pal would work perfectly here too. And I'm just spreading that Glitz Glitter Gel over the top of these die-cut triangle trees, and then I'm going to set them aside for a little bit to dry. I also die cut one of the hats from the Gnome for the Holidays die set. There are 3 different hats, and I stenciled on some white Glitz Glitter Gel for this. I did a thicker application of the white than I did of the colors, just to make sure that it was really going to show up against that light color cardstock. Now I'm going to create a quick and easy background for these little trees to sit on. So I'm using some purple tape. This is the 1.5 inch width purple tape. I'm going to apply this onto my cardstock, leaving about I think it's 1.25 inches down at the bottom. This new formula of purple tape is pressure sensitive. Works perfectly for ink blending and holding your dies in place, things like that. But it's a little bit different from the old formula, so you do need to just give this a little bit of a press to make sure it's going to adhere to your cardstock. And you can see here that as I stencil on a ground, just to make sure everything's grounded, I have a perfectly crisp ink blended line. I also flicked on some silver watercolor for some snowflakes in my background. Now my Glitz Glitter Gel pieces are all dry, and I've die cut some more of these pieces for the gnomes from the Gnome for the Holiday Stamp and Stencil Craft Kit. And I'm just going to piece these together using my iCraft Ultra Bond liquid adhesive. I'm going to add these trees onto the background. I've just lined them up right up against that stenciled ink blended ground that I did. Still using that iCraft Ultra Bond liquid adhesive. It's my favorite liquid adhesive because it gives you a second to squish these images around, and then it's going to hold on tight. Now, I wanted to have stars for the top of the trees, but there isn't a star die in this Stamp and Stencil kit. No problem. I'm going to kind of make my own here. So I've die cut some of the little white circles. These are actually for the puffballs on the gnomes' hats. I die cut 4, and I'm going to use a piece of purple tape to hold them in place while I add some ink over the top to make these little yellow stars for the tops of my trees. And then I'll use that Ultra Bond adhesive to glue these in place. My card is just about finished now. I have stamped a sentiment from the Gnome for the Holiday stamp set, and I bubble cut around that sentiment to create a little shadow so that it would stand out from my card. I'm using iCraft 3D foam squares to adhere the die cut gnome as well as my stamped sentiment. And that finishes this quick and easy card using the Gnome for the Holiday Stamp and Stencil Craft Kit from Gina Designs and ThermOWeb. Thank you guys so much for watching this tutorial. I will see you next time. Bye!